On the DENHAM Business Connect show this week, we have special interview with top 1 real estate Colin Claxton winning gold medals at the World Masters.
I'm very competitive and I do like to win.
And we also have Dev Dhingra from FUNDMASTER talking about refinancing and the best way to go about it.
To get them a lower rate somewhere in a different bank or their own bank and make sure that they can pay off their mortgage faster.
And also property lawyer specialist Brett Abraham talking about why you need a property lawyer when dealing with property investments.
If you're dealing with property, then it pays to have somebody who's familiar with property transactions.
Welcome to the DENHAM Business Connect show, and now I'm presenting to you the project of the week. A few weeks ago, we talked about this Ramada Albany Apartments building. Well, finally, in the past few days, I had the opportunity to go inside these apartments and have a look at it. I sold these apartments about 15 months ago, and it was a green payday. Client bought them, and I must admit at the time, we just sell them as an artist's impression, but when we get to go in them, now they are finished, they are far better than I thought. They are more spacious, sunlight coming into them, great views of Albany Shopping Centre, and also great views of Otago Valley Road. But most of all, the fit outs are amazing. Each unit comes with a heat pump, comes with washing machine, comes with dishwasher, dryer also, and curtain and trap is included. The master bedroom opens up onto the balcony and it's a lounge. Some of the apartments actually got 2 bedrooms and then with 2 bathrooms. I thought it was 1 bathroom, so now it's a bonus for you to have 2 bathrooms, and especially the home and income apartment type. The home and income apartment is a studio on one side and the 1 bedroom is on the other side, and each one of them has got its own front door entry, it's got its own bathroom, it's got its own kitchen, and it's got 2 separate power meters. So you can live in one and you can rent the other one out, and they're under one title. So these is about 70 to 76 square meters. Some of them come with 1 and 2 car parks, believe it or not. And you can buy the 2 bedroom, very spacious if you want to, a 2 bedroom. The lounge is right in the middle, 2 bedroom on either side, 2 bathrooms. Price from $699,000. And for the home and income product, it starts at $749,000 to $799,000. Now, in comparison to other projects that come on the market nearby, the 1 bedroom right now selling off the plan with 1 car park is $600,000. And they in the larger building, where this one here is only 18 in the block. Okay, commercial retail underneath, 18 in the block. Therefore, you're not going to get that many other residents living in the same area. Body corp is below $2,000 per unit. The quality of these apartments is quite amazing. If you want to buy one and you want to access them and have a look at the actual apartment, and you can move in within the next month or 2, we have them ready for you now, and these are the best product on the market. And joining me now is Colin Claxton, Director of DENHAM Real Estate and also champion cyclist. Colin, welcome back on the show.
Thank you very much, Don. Nice to be back.
And look, I noticed we got 3 gold medals and 2 silver here at the World Masters.
Yes, we do.
And can you give us an idea what the World Masters is all about? Because, you know, I've seen it on TV, I've seen all the signs, all the marketing on the news. What is the World Master, firstly?
Well, the World Masters Games, it's the largest multi-sport event in the world. It's actually larger in terms of participation than even the Olympics itself. Over 28,000 competitors from over 100 countries, covering across 28 sports over 10 days. So it was a massive event. Obviously myself just involved in cycling, road cycling and track cycling. Track cycling is my major passion, but I do compete on the road as well.
So your medals, your 3 golds, what event was that?
Well, the 2 silver ones. One was one was on the road time trial, which is held down on the Auckland waterfront from the ferry buildings to St Heliers and back.
Right.
I was second in my age group in that. The other silver was a time trial event on the track. But the 3 golds that I'm particularly proud of, one was the individual pursuit. The second was what's called the points race, which is a very hard event. And then thirdly, the sprint event, which is quite an involved competition. That
We've done pretty well with DENHAM real estate. We've got you in the cycling, we've got Alan Wong in the badminton. 2 people in the World Masters.
Alan competed very well. He was competing every day, and I know that he gave it 110%.
And badminton is quite a rigorous sport, isn't it?
Very, very rigorous,
yeah.
That's right.
I think he's still recovering from it right now. He's not doing the open arm, I don't think, this weekend. So we thought we'd give him a weekend
Give him a
off.
break, give him a break.
So anyone can enter the World Masters?
Yes, they can. Yeah, there's no particular time you have to meet in order to meet a particular criteria. You just are able to enter, and providing the entries haven't closed, you can enter. So you get a variety of people and abilities, some just wanting to participate just for the love of it. In fact, the whole Masters Games, the theme was for the love of sport. So for people just wanting to participate, that's great. But there's also a different level, perhaps like myself, but more competitive. And anyone coming from overseas, of course, they're not just coming to participate.
I read an article about a woman, was she 100? And her son was 85, competing in 100 metres.
That's right. The oldest competitor, I think, was this 101-year-old Indian lady who competed, I think, in the 100, 200, javelin and shot put. I don't think she competed in the high jump. But
did she win any medal?
Well, yes, she did, because she was the only competitor in...
So there's no first and second place, there's only one place.
That's right. And that's one of the wonderful things about the Masters Games. It's in 5-year age increments. But if you're the only one in your age group, you effectively would win a gold medal.
Oh, how exciting.
In fact, in cycling, the oldest cyclist was 95. A great fellow from the Waikato, a guy called Reg Rye, and he competed in a couple of events riding on his own, but he still had to get on the bike, compete, finish, and get off the bike.
And Alan in badminton, he won his obviously competitions here in New Zealand, but when I asked him, he said, man, they are very competitive and they are really good. He made a semi-final on one of his events, but he didn't get onto the finals. Well, that shows that people are there to compete to win.
Oh, absolutely.
And where are you heading to with your cycling hobby or sports? Where are you heading to in the near future?
Well, Don, I'd have to say that now that I'm at the top end of the 65 to 69 age group.
Right.
So next year I'll be eligible to race in the 70 to 74 age group.
Okay.
And I've got my eye on a world record for the individual pursuit.
Wow.
And currently I'm riding times which would suggest if I can maintain my form, fitness and health, then I've got a good chance of breaking that record.
I noticed, Colin, you only settled for silver or gold lately. Has that become normal?
I'd have to say I'm very competitive, and I do like to win.
How do you stay up there? What's your weekly training like? Do you ride every week?
Yes, I do have a very good coach who monitors my my training very closely, and I'm probably I'm doing some form of physical activity probably 6 days a week.
Wow.
Probably riding on my bike either inside or outside. Inside it would be on what's called a wind trainer. So maybe 4 or 5 rides a week, plus a couple of gym workouts as well. That's important as you get older.
To be at the top of any game, you got to work at it. You can't just turn up and win.
No.
And you will notice, I got a saying that the world's greatest P&O player, if he missed training once, he will notice it. He missed training twice, the audience will notice it. He missed training 3 times, everybody will notice.
Yes.
So you will be the same if you miss training a week or 2 weeks. You won't be the same peak performance, would you?
You're probably familiar with that expression, Don, use it or lose it.
Right.
As you get older, your muscles start to atrophy, you lose muscle mass, you lose strength, and the only way to maintain that is to eat right, to exercise right, and to work hard. And I'm pleased to be able to say that even at my age, I'm maintaining muscle mass. I'm not losing it, and I'm maintaining a very high level of fitness for my age.
Well, Colin, you are inspirational to us all, so thank you for coming to the show, and we wish you all the best for your up-and-coming competition.
Pleasure to be on the show, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now the property of the week. Now this property here is really special to me. I've got a great story to tell you about servicing a client, and it's 23 years in the making of getting a listing. So if you're an agent, you're in sales, and you service a client within 3 to 6 weeks, you don't get any business off them, and you think, oh, forget it, this client's wasting my time. Well, I want you to go back in the year 1995 when I knocked on this door in Aotearoa. This property is number 36 Tyrone Street in Aotearoa. It's a 2-bedroom house on 698 metre square land, and it's got room to build a granny flat at the back, so it's great investment. The price is fine at $39,000, and there's a current long-term tenant that's in there now, and they will love to stay on. But what's special about this property and the relationship I have about this property is, in 1995, when I walked the street as a new salesman, I knocked on this door, and this old woman, she lives there. She didn't want to sell the house, but she was by herself, and she loves talking to people. And being brand new in real estate, I thought that I should talk to her anyway. And I bought cakes for her. I bought Lamington and donut from my family bakery nearby. So I visit her, and she will talk to me. She will serve me tea and coffee. And I'm the sort of guy that loves to hear stories and histories on people that's older than me and learn from them. I visited her over the past 6 to 9 months during the same year. And then one day, I haven't seen her for a while because I got busy. I knocked on the door. Her daughter went and answered the door. And I saw her daughter's face. I knew instantly she passed away. And I said, where is Elizabeth? And she said, who are you? I said, I'm just a friend visiting her every now and then. They said, I got sad news for you. My mother has passed away. Well, 23 years later, she rang me, or maybe 25 years later, she rang me. She said, Mr. Hart, I don't know if you remember me, but my name is Rama, and I have a house at 36 Tyrone Street. I said, I remember you clearly the day that I knocked on the door, and I remember your face clearly. She said, now I don't live in Auckland anymore. I want to sell my house. Would you come and sell my house for me? I said, I will handle your house personally because I often talk about your mother at my seminar. So it really goes to show that to become a great agent, you've got to prepare to donate your time, respect people, and just not expect anything to come out of them. And you see, 23 years later, the listing has come back to me. And look, yes, I do get paid for selling the house, but I just want to demonstrate to you that the relationship to become a great person, a great career, and any other career you're in, you must prepare to donate your time and work for nothing, and it will pay off one day. And joining me now is Dev from the FUNDMASTER. He is specialised in mortgage, loan, refinancing, subdivisions, and many more talent that he has. Dev, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Don.
So today, obviously, the finance market has changed a lot, and you want to talk about refinancing some of the clients, and how does refinancing work?
Yes, I mean, in the last session, we discussed about first-home buyers and what are the options there. Just in this one, I want to let you know that refinance is also a big piece of this market where the banks compete for existing market share.
Okay.
Right. As a mortgage advisor, we do meet our customers and see what loans they have, how they've structured their debt, and how soon can they finish their debt. So we help them to sit down with them, no obligation, and understand what is their property value, where it is at, right? Speaking to a few valuers or a few real estate agents, then see if they made some equity in it or not, and then also see what are their goals going on in the future, and can we help them to get them a lower rate somewhere in a different bank or their own bank, and make sure that they can pay off their mortgage faster.
So what's the purpose of refinancing?
So refinancing is going from one bank to the other.
Yes.
It can also involve a restructure, which is restructuring the debt in a way that it's more suitable for the customer to A, repay it faster, or go back to a higher payment or a lower payment, depending on the goals. Let's say you might have a customer which say that, you know, I want to buy 3 properties in this year or 4 properties in this year, but they don't know where to start from. Yeah. They come and meet us, we understand their situation, we ascertain their numbers, their figures, and then we sit down with them. I said, well, your goal was 3 properties, probably you should try with 1 first. These are the things you need to do first. Yeah. So in a refinance, it can be changing from one bank to the other if their own bank is not ready to look after their own needs.
Yes.
And every bank's needs and wants vary, and the customer's details also change. So it's a place where it depends on what customer and what suits the customer the best.
So say I got 3 properties now and I want refinancing because I want to reduce my debt or have some additional funding. Say I have those 3 properties, I haven't valued them for 3 years. What's the procedure on refinancing? What do you advise the client?
So basically, in an ideal situation like your 3 properties, I would meet the customer, understand again what are the loan amounts. If they haven't valued the properties for 3 years and they were not thinking of anything else, but they were just buying property ad hoc, we sit down with them like any other agencies, like a PR agency or something, and sit down and understand their equity values.
Right.
So if their equity values, as per the new LVR restrictions by the Reserve Bank, owner-occupied properties can be 80% and investments have to be 60%. That means 40% deposit and 20% deposit. So if a customer hasn't valued their property, they don't know what is the equity in that property.
Right.
So once we find out that there is an equity in the property by understanding an indicative market value, then we go back to their own bank or another bank and ask for a newer amount of approval for the new property utilizing the equity estimated value properties.
Let's say other banks, other non-banks that lends more than 60% for investment, or they all across the board?
Non-banks which are not under the Reserve Bank rules can lend more than 60% as well. Okay. But it is again their own discretion because they're private funders or non-bank lenders. It can be 70%, it can be 80% as well.
What sort of interest rate would they charge compared to the bank?
Interest rates are 1 to 2% more, depending on the incomes. And if somebody has gone through liquidations or bankruptcies, the interest rates go higher.
Yes.
If somebody's gone through a lot of defaults and all the interest rates are higher, can be in the vicinity of 8 to 15%.
Yes.
But if it's not that and they are somebody who's generally got a very good income and they really want to have a property, then the interest rates, like some non-bank lenders can even offer 5.55 for 1 year.
Wow.
Which is, as good as a first home buyer's rate.
And that's not even, that's not 60%. Because to buy $1 million property now, it's $400,000 deposit. Yes. So that explains why the market right now is slowing right down, because of the, I always say this, it's the bank that controls the market. It's not the market controls the market. Clearly now, I was right, the bank controls the market.
It does. It does. See, it is, and the banks are also controlled. I mean, they've got Reserve Bank and they've got other organizations in Australia as well, which control them. And lending is basically, you're exactly right, is controlled by the banks. And in that scenario, non-bank lenders and other small funders are also springing up because finance companies have a lot of exemptions than a bank, and they don't have to do that much reporting as well. So that's why, people have opportunities and options. They just need to speak to us or someone who can, before going to a bank, coming to a mortgage advisor is important. Like, at FUNDMASTER, at our brand, we make sure that we look at and prepare the application properly before it goes to the bank, because once it goes to the bank, that's it. You can't put a new story to it. What is there is there.
Yes.
It is telling the bank what exactly is, and also getting the credit worthiness of a customer. You might be driving an Uber, or you might be having some income somewhere overseas, which you forget or you don't declare sometimes, but it's good to declare all the incomes and give a clear picture to the mortgage advisor so that we can ascertain exactly what we can do best. And obviously, sometimes it's not the best result that you meet me and you'll get a property, or the customer meets you and gets a property. But if they sign up a house and land package, which is 12 months now, the banks are lending up to 85, 90%. So, going back to the point that if a customer has come to us, it's not always that we'll tell them, go buy a property tomorrow. But we can have a pathway for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and put you on a pathway to get a property. And sometimes a discussion with the mortgage advisor or meeting the team at the FUNDMASTER, we make sure that we put you on a pathway, because it's important to know what you can save first before you start borrowing. Because people want nothing to be saved and they will just want to start borrowing.
Yes.
That doesn't work for the banks.
Where do you see the current interest rate going? Are they going up, down, or staying still?
Current interest rates at this stage are stabilized a little bit.
Right.
The banks in the last 2 weeks, ASB Bank especially, has just moved their carded rates a bit lower.
Yes.
Not a big difference, but they are stabilized a little bit. I mean, at the end of the day, you and me can't control it. But as my personal opinion, they are stabilized a bit. and in the near future or in the coming future, they're indicated to rise, but again, nobody can control that.
Yes. Do you think the Reserve Bank has won the war against the slowing down of the Auckland property market?
Well, they've definitely been effective.
Yeah.
Winning the war, I can't really say that, but yes, the market has slowed down. The banks are looking in a lot of avenues and options. Debt-to-income ratio is a big talk of the town.
Yes.
That if debt-to-income ratio comes in, what will be the affordability? Where will the market go? How will it happen? So there's a lot of talks around debt-to-income, interest rates, property market. You know, real estate agents have got a lot of listings, but they're not selling.
Yes.
Because a lot of buyers think that the market will go down, and a lot of sellers who've bought a lot of properties, they think the market is going to go up. Right. So it's a tussle, it's a war which is always there for many years. You've seen it as well, especially cherry on top this year is the elections.
Yes.
So which party will come in, which will be the ruling party, which will not be there. So all these factors are factors which slow the market down definitely.
So, look, I'm looking forward to see you back on the show for some more mortgage advisor. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Don.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And today's millionaire's tip is, look, I just traveled to Singapore, and when you travel overseas, a lot of us will just travel because of holidays or travel to spend money. I traveled to Singapore and I made some connections. I had this great opportunity to meet this real estate company. And believe it or not, this real estate company is one company in whole of Singapore, 5.5 million population, and they are the second largest. They have 5,000 agents in Singapore working at a two-level office. They don't even be on ground floor, they're on level 11 and level 12. My holiday was great with my kids at the time, but at the same time, when I went there, I started prospecting. I emailed my local contact and say, I'd like to meet a real estate company and to introduce my product to Singaporeans. But to my surprise, when I meet them, the system that they have and their number of staff is just 5,000. Can you believe it? 5,000 people within one company, and they can work anywhere in Singapore because it's 30, 40 minutes radius. I learned a lesson from that in Auckland right now, we can go 30 minutes radius from, say, Ellerslie. We can go west, east, south, and north within 30 minutes. We get there. Therefore, we don't have to have multiple offices to expand our business or your business, but most of all, the connections. You sent the email, you asked for a connection. Now I have connection with 5,000 agents in Singapore. And if I have a product or services that I need to sell, say, for example, I need to sell 30 apartments, I don't need to go to actually the local Singaporean anymore. I just go to this one agency and they'll email a product up to their 5,000 agents. And if only 1% of that 5,000 agents buy, which is 500 units, well, I only got 30 to sell. So the power of connection, the power of asking people is the key to your success, because the power of your net worth is your network. And joining me now is Brett Abraham from DENHAM BRAMWELL Partners. Brett is one of the partners in the firm, and welcome to the show, Brett.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Look, I've been in real estate since 1994, and I know you, I think, 1996 onwards, and now you act for our company and a lot of our personal properties, and you specialise in property law, naturally.
I do.
So can you elaborate on property law, what you actually do?
Well, it covers a wide variety of fields. So we act for a number of investor clients and a lot of mum and dads who are not in the property market very often, and so need their hands held to a certain extent and walk through the process, because, as you'll know, acting for many families, it's a very stressful time, buying and selling the family home. It's something that people don't do regularly. They're unfamiliar with dealing with banks, with real estate agents, with mortgage brokers, with accountants, the other people that are involved in those transactions. And so we liaise with a large number of other professionals. We assist with financing those sorts of transactions.
So have you seen the changes lately about property purchasing compared to, before the bank now or the government wants the IRD number before you settle and things like that? Have you seen a lot of change in that area?
Yes, there have been quite a large number of changes over the last 2 or 3 years, which have made our life more complicated. And they largely involve taxation requirements around property. Most people will have heard of the government's Bright Line test, where gains on property transactions are automatically taxed if they're sold within a 2-year period, with exemptions for matters such as the family home, etc. Also, resident withholding tax for offshore vendors of property, where the Bright Line test applies. Now, all of those transactions have to be documented for tax purposes, regardless of whether the tax consequences apply or not.
So can you settle a property without an IRD number now, or you can't?
No, you must have an IRD number.
That goes for everyone? That
goes for everybody. That's for trusts, for companies, for individuals.
So for an overseas investor now, through our experience, they need to apply for a New Zealand IRD number?
They certainly do.
And do they need anything else?
Well, it depends or not whether they are going to be GST registered, whether they're investors in commercial property. If they're investors in commercial property receiving income from commercial rents, then they are going to need to be GST registered as well if their income threshold exceeds the GST requirement. So possibly GST registration as well as an IRD number.
Is there a big difference in property law specialist to compare to just someone who, say, for example, I'm coming to you because I buy and sell property through you in business, you specialise in an area, but let's just say I'm going to another firm in, for argument's sake, they give me a legal exec to handle the same transaction. Is there a big difference between the knowledge between the two?
Well, often it depends on the legal executive, naturally. We have a couple of long-standing legal executives who've both been with us for over 30 years, and their knowledge is substantial as any new lawyer coming out of law school. And indeed, I would say exactly a lot better because they've had practical feet on the ground experience. But more and more these days, when I first started in law, we were a profession of generalists, really, and everybody turned their hand to whatever. But more and more over the years, specialisation has crept in, and so there are lawyers that specialise in property, as I do, and if you're dealing with property, then it pays to have somebody who's familiar with property transactions.
10 days is enough now, because I notice it takes a bit more than 10 days now.
For finance?
For finance or building report, limb report. Usually we do 10 days, but we notice now the lending takes a bit longer and we always require an extension. But do you think that 10 days is sufficient to do everything if everything was okay?
10 days is probably a minimum. Now, 10 days is the specified period in the standard sale and purchase contract, which is the Auckland District Law Society New Zealand Real Estate Institute one, which is commonly used for residential property. There is a 10-day period for the requisitions period, 15 working, and we're talking working days here, 15 working day period for the limb report. But when you are talking finance, valuations are often required. And the other thing that we find very commonly these days with first home buyers is that they are getting a proportion of their deposit from their KiwiSaver savings. And so that involves an application to their KiwiSaver
Do you
provider.
do that part or the mortgage broker?
No, we do that part.
Okay.
And often there is a subsidy that's involved if they meet certain criteria as well, and that certainly takes longer to process. That's done through Housing New Zealand, and so if that was required, then I would suggest probably a minimum of 15 working days and preferably 20 working days.
Well, Brett, look, I think that's great information for first-home buyers, and thank you for coming on the show and looking forward to see you again.
Look, it's been my pleasure, Don. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the DENHAM Business Connect show. We will see you again next week with another round of interesting guests. Until then, make sure your business is working for you and don't be afraid to take action.